Welcome to eMBC 102, Medical Coding 1. We will begin with Chapter 1, Introduction to the CPT. What is medical coding? Simply put, we translate the physician's terminology and documentation into a billable service. In the CPT and HCPCS, we are translating the provider's services, procedures, supplies, and drugs into codes. Why do we use medical coding? We use it because it's effective and efficient. Each code has a specific description attached to it, and because computers understand numbers, these codes tell third-party payers what service was provided to the patient. Medical coding is used by all medical providers such as physicians, hospitals, rehabs, even medical equipment providers. But you must be very careful. Coding incorrectly can result in being paid inappropriately. The CPT was developed by the AMA and was first published in 1966. CPT codes are 5-digit codes and describe what service or procedure was provided to the patient. The CPT is updated annually. The new version is released in November to begin use in January. The CPT has two types of codes: the standalone code, which contains the full description of the service or procedure, and the indented codes, which are dependent on the standalone code preceding it. The semicolon will indicate the full description of the preceding code. In the example, code 26010 is a standalone code. It describes a drainage of a finger abscess, simple. Code 26011, the indented code, is drainage of a finger abscess, but this one is complicated. The CPT also has symbols that you must become familiar with. These symbols will alert you about any unique feature of a code. The bullet indicates that the code is a new code, for example. Please study these symbols and learn to recognize them. The CPT is organized into 6 sections. These sections are like chapters. The sections are further divided into subsections, subheadings, and categories. They can be organized by body part, procedure, condition, or even surgical approach. Another feature is the CPT guidelines. CPT guidelines are extremely important. Each section has its own set of guidelines, and I do recommend that you read each set of guidelines before beginning each section, because they are necessary to code correctly. There are also notes contained within each section, before subsections, or for each separate code. The number one rule in coding is always read all the notes. Another extremely important feature of the CPT is the index. It is used to locate the codes faster. It is in alphabetical order, and you begin your search by looking for the procedure, such as the terms repair or excision. You can also look by body part, by condition or disease, such as cleft lip or clot. You can also look for synonyms, such as toe and interphalangeal joint, or by abbreviation, such as ECG. The codes will appear in the index in 3 different ways. If it is a single code, simply look for that code. Multiple codes are separated by a comma, which means that you must search for each of the codes until you find the correct one. A range of codes indicated with a hyphen mean that you must look for every code within that range until you find the correct one. But the most important rule of using the index is never code out of the index. Never ever code out of the index. Always verify the codes in the main part of the CPT. There are also appendices located toward the back of the CPT that give you additional information. Please become familiar with these appendices. Before 1983, only private insurances used the CPT. In 1983, HCFA began using the CPT codes as part of HCPCS. HCPCS stand for Healthcare Common Procedural Services. CPT codes are level 1 codes of HCPCS, and HCPCS are level 2 codes, and these are used for any services or procedures that are not found in the CPT, as well as any supplies or equipment. This concludes Chapter 1 of your textbook. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me.